All right, greetings. My name is Kevin Stansbury. I'm the Director of Secondary Schools for the Mount Olive Township School District. And this is part of our Women in History Month observance program scheduled for March 19th, just a week away. And I just want to introduce our guests for today. Joining us as part of the celebration is Rear Admiral Patricia Wolfe, who's a graduate of Mount Olive High School, our Social Studies Department Chairperson, Mr. Tom Reska, and Captain of our Air Force Junior ROTC program, and our lead interviewer for today, Captain Ainsley Williams. So welcome everybody, and I look forward to this interview. And we're going to turn it over to you, Ainsley. Get started. Thank you.
All right, so I'll start off with the first question. What does Women's History Month mean to you?
So Women's History Month to me is really special. Over the years, I've had the opportunity to talk to a number of different groups, and I sit back and I think about it, and it's all the women that came before me, particularly with a military career, with the military women that came before me. And it also means that we are teaching our young women and our young men and all of our society about the accomplishments of women, and also paving the way for the future for them, so that we don't repeat our mistakes and that we learn from our successes.
Absolutely. I definitely think progressing is one of the most important things about teaching women how to get into these different careers, and to empower women is definitely one of the most important things. All right. Next question is, who are the women that inspired you in your career today?
So in my career today, of course, you have your mother. And my mother was always extremely supportive. My mother was the person who took the phone call when the Navy called and offered me a ROTC scholarship to Villanova. And she had been my biggest supporter on, and always will be. But from a military woman, I look up to some of the predecessors that paved the way. So we talk about Rear Admiral Grace Hopper, and she is famous for inventing the computer, one of the first female Navy officers to make flag rank. And I've always known her as an admiral, and luckily at one point actually had a chance to see her speak before she passed. But you talk to many of the computer folks, the information professionals, and they know Grace Hopper not as an admiral, but as a leader in nanotechnology. So I look up to her. I also look up to some of the women who are a little further, a lot closer to my career than Grace Hopper was, who mentored me, who really broke the barriers for women in traditional men's careers. So I am a logistician, and I had the opportunity to do a lot of firsts, but the women that were either ahead of me slightly, or my compatriots who flew jets, who commanded ships, who came to the very top of our military in a world and during a time when women weren't leaders in that organization. So Admiral Michelle Howard, who was the first Black 4-star in the United States Navy. Admiral Carol Pottinger, who's a very good friend of mine, who was one of the first women to command a ship. And one of my peers, Vice Admiral Robin Braun, who's one of the first women to fly Navy aircraft. So it's kind of cool that I came about in my Navy career at the time when the barriers were being broken by all women. And a lot of that had to do with the way the laws changed during my career, from 1977, when I graduated from Mount Olive High School, through going to Villanova, that at that time, women could not go into combat. They could not fly military aircraft. They could not drive Navy ships. The supporting careers opened up in 1984. That's where I got in as a logistician. Doesn't mean we didn't fight side by side. We just technically weren't there side by side, even though we were. Whole nother story. But in 1992, when the tactical aircraft really, when the combat exclusion laws were changed, and our young women started flying Navy jets and serving on submarines, and same thing with the Army and the Air Force in traditional combat roles. My career kind of spanned the change from women doing desk jobs to women doing everything.
Absolutely, definitely broke that barrier. Big forever and always going to be such a big inspiration to women who are thinking about going into the military, or women who are just trying to break the barrier in any different career fields. So definitely agree 100%. Next question is, could you describe / go over your career's trajectory?
I think I did a little bit of that, but I started, when I joined Navy ROTC, I didn't know what I got myself into. I grew up in a family of Navy veterans, but it really didn't direct my choices in my career. My dad was a Navy vet. My grandfather was a Navy vet, on and on. But they served 2-3 years. It was more of a service than a career choice. So when I went to Villanova, graduated as the only female in the class. We started with 4, and one by one, the others dropped out. And not sure why I stuck it out at that point, but I really liked the camaraderie and the mission of the Navy. Chose to go into the Navy Supply Corps and become a logistician, because at that point, the ships, being a ship driver or an air, and I really didn't want to fly, wasn't really a choice. I was very fortunate that at that time, just as I went into the Navy Supply Corps, supporting roles for women aboard ship opened up. So I was, in 1982, I was one of the first women as an ensign, the little 22-year-old ensign, reporting to a ship of 800, and there were 3 other women on board, just as we were integrating women into the ships. Lots of learning experiences there. From there, I did a couple of traditional short tours with some information warfare folks, and then I taught at the Navy Supply Corps School to bring our young people into what I'd done 6 years earlier. From there, I did get married, have a baby, and transitioned actually off of active duty into the reserves, which in retrospect was an amazing career choice for me, because it opened up avenues that weren't available on the active duty side. It also put me back on active duty for about half of the next 20 years based on what I did. And first for Desert Storm, and then for Operation Iraqi Freedom, and then for Enduring Freedom, and some humanitarian responses onward. In 1994, I became the first woman to command a Navy cargo handling battalion. And amazingly, Captain, I inherited a female senior enlisted. So we turned out to be the first female team, which was a learning curve for both of us, because neither of us had really worked with women before, since we were, our career trajectories had put us in traditionally male-dominated groups. From there, I went to a nice quiet tour over in Central Command. Started there in 2000. And if you remember what happened on September 11th of 2001, during my quiet tour, and U.S. Central Command is the group that runs Afghanistan and Iraq. All of a sudden, I found myself back on active duty, myself in Egypt right after 9/11 for 3 months, doing some interagency and national work with the Egyptians and a lot of other countries that were going on at that point in time. I think that's the point where my career directory said, I like this. I think I'll stay in. And so I took another command tour after that, after returning from Egypt and returning from a year of mobilization over in Tampa, finishing out that tour. I will tell you that when I thought I was going to retire 30 years or 26 years. And when the phone call came in that said I had been selected for flag officer for promotion to 1-star, I swear my jaw dropped. And it was totally unexpected, but the best amazing opportunity to give back and to make more of an impact over the next 6 years. And that's what it was, 6 years. We're pretty adamant about that. You get 3 years as a 1-star, 3 years as a 2-star, and you know it's time to go. So it was quite a career, a totally unexpected one. I never saw never saw the curveballs coming. The change in combat status allowed me to deploy to Kuwait in support of Iraq operations and Afghanistan operations. That would not have happened when I initially joined, because the laws had changed. So my career trajectory went across so many changes, and they had a huge impact on my career.
Absolutely. And I just want to applaud you for your perseverance and being able to be in such a male dominated career choice, and the fact that you said that you were the only woman to graduate from Villanova. It's just major props to you.
That year.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But it's just such an inspiration to see that, despite, even though you definitely felt out of your comfort zone and maybe put in some uncomfortable situations, that you continue to persevere and you continue to stay strong and equated to such a successful career. And I'm just really proud of you. And I just want to say that that's really, really amazing. So
Thanks.
The next question is, could you describe your experience being a woman in the United States Navy?
Wow. I will tell you that the military, United States Navy, Army, Air Force, are equal opportunity employers. If you are a captain, you get paid the same as the captain male sitting next to you. So from that perspective, it's very much an equal opportunity employer, not without its challenges as far as women are concerned. Throughout the, in the United States, 51% of the people in the United States are female. In any military organization, 25%, maybe at that point. I think the Navy's running about 23% right now. So definitely in the minority. And as you become more senior, we have a retention problem with our military women because life happens. We get married, we have babies, and until we can get to the point where the men have the babies, we have to deal with pregnancies and things like that, which are not bad. But you make life choices around those. Being a woman in the military has improved dramatically over the last 35 years. Things that I was expected not to worry about, or just kind of had to suck up on the ship in 1982 are better now because we've got more women on those ships. But it's still that we still need to have a stronger military that looks more like our society. That's more, I don't know that we'll ever get to 50-50, but it would be really nice to have 47% of the men and, or 70% and 30, and we're working our way there, but there are challenges in maintaining it. I will tell you, when I first heard about a Navy cargo handling battalion, the commander that was counseling me at the time said, on your career, I was a lieutenant, so that made me an 03 at the time. Said, during your career, I would recommend that you go to a Navy cargo handling, but you're female, you can't go. Back in 1987, they're not open. He says, and I don't believe women belong in Navy cargo handling battalions. That mindset has changed dramatically over the years for the better. There's still sometimes a step backwards when we have to recalibrate the organization. But overall, the challenges, I think the equal opportunity piece, the opportunities that presented, if you're willing, ready for a challenge, ready for the next challenge without really knowing what I was getting myself into or what I did. But the military also is one of the greatest training opportunities out there. The number of schools that I went to through my career, both technical, specifically for my job, and then as a senior leader, the Harvard Business School for short courses, and Baylor University for leadership courses, things that I probably would never have had the opportunity to do, but the Navy, all of the services are very committed to providing their sailors, airmen, Marines with the right training and skill sets to do the job that they're putting them into.
Absolutely. And it's definitely amazing to hear that the mindset has only continued to change. And I hope that the military can continue to progress and be more accepting to women officers and stuff like that. And I definitely think your story is definitely going to be a huge comfort to women who are definitely on the edge about joining the military, and to know that like you can gut it out, it's going to work out, and you just have to stay prepared, and it's going to be hard, but the amount of opportunities that are going to come from it are going to outweigh the
Right.
benefits.
And where we need to get to is that it's hard for everybody, male and female. And I'm not saying the men have it any easier. The jobs are just as hard, but there's the integration issue makes it a little more emotionally draining for women sometimes. Not all the time, but it's so much better than it was.
Absolutely. The next question I have for you is, what are some obstacles you had to overcome to reach the goals that you set for yourself?
I had to get beyond my own insecurities, and the training helped me to understand that. I had to go into things going, I've got the proper training. I know what I'm doing. I may not know this particular command. You have to be confident in what you know. And so for me, I'd go home and go, did I get this right? There were days when I said I was going to quit. I didn't, it was just really, really hard. I was having difficulty with one person, one senior officer, or whatever. I have an amazing husband who is a retired Navy commander, a Vietnam veteran. And I always remember the day that I said, I've done, I've had it. I was a commander of a small organization, had an 06 Air Force guy that just, we didn't communicate well. And I came home to my husband, we had a drink, and he goes, why do you want to quit? Because I can't take him anymore. He goes, what about the sailors that work for you? What about the command you support? What about the work you're doing? So having a good support network, a good, whether it be your significant other, whether it be a sister, brother, friend, that can help you work through, that he helped me work through my insecurities and reminded me of the reason I was doing what I was doing. Obstacles, other obstacles, I had to find a good mentor. And early on, all of those good mentors were men, because senior women didn't exist. So I make a very an effort to reach out to young women to help mentor them and provide any kind of support, or a sounding board for them as they're going through their career right now. Other obstacles is I wasn't an athlete, honestly, so the physical fitness piece of it took some effort on my part to maintain my physical fitness, to be able to run not just the physical requirements test, the PRT, but to make sure that I was in shape to keep up with all my sailors. So I love sea stories. I was running a physical fitness test, and the Navy runs 1.5 miles, and I'm very steady. I hit the halfway point, halfway through how long I'm going to run it. And I had a young sailor coming up. I'm running and I'm passing him, and he's like 28 and I'm 50. And as I passed him, he was just huffing and puffing, probably a smoker is my guess. And I started talking smack. I'm like, you aren't going to let this old lady beat you, because I made an effort to make sure that I wasn't going to fail my physical tests, that I could keep up with all the men. I learned to shoot really well, and women tend to be good shots. But I kept telling them that because I was fairly senior, if you got around to the point where I was shooting, we were all in trouble, because you all better be protecting my back, because we're all in trouble. So those are some of the things that, personally, I had to make sure that I was ready to do the job, both mentally, physically, emotionally. Sometimes I had to hide my emotions. I could cry on a drop of a dime early on, and you have to figure out how not to do that too. I had to anyway.
Absolutely. I definitely agree. I definitely think the best advice is to be confident and for women to be sure of themselves. You guys, they know the information. Don't doubt yourself. And if you can go in there knowing your stuff and being confident, then it's only going to be more success for you. So
And make sure you're prepared. Don't walk into something that you didn't think through beforehand. I've had a couple of those where the questions came out that I said I should have thought about that beforehand. So, and that's experience.
absolutely.
Don't do the same thing twice if it was bad.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. Last question is, what would you say to motivate young girls / women who are currently in the military or thinking about joining and want to reach the level that you did? This advertisement can definitely apply to all female and male students in any pursuit or any life endeavor.
Do what you love. So, people join the military at 3, 4, and 3, 4, 5, 6 years. I never thought when I left Villanova and I owed the Navy 4 years for my scholarship that I would do 32 years. I just never stopped loving what I did. I love the mission. I love the people. As we've talked about, it wasn't without challenges, but you have to go back to what your basis for being where you are is. If you do 4 years in the military, be proud of it. My dad did 2.5. He was a Navy veteran, and during peacetime, officially during no conflict. But he to the day he died, he went to his ship's reunions for years and years and years. If it's a stepping stone to something else, that's a good thing. If you stay, make sure you are enjoying what you're doing and that you're there for the right reason, that you want to make a difference. One of the things we used to say in the Navy was that we train for war. And ideally, we never have a war. That's the goal of a strong military, is to have, to pre the wars, and the Navy in particular with our forward presence. But we trained for war, and we would often use those skills for other things. So probably one of my proudest moments was to go down to Haiti after the earthquake. And my boss called me up, the 4-star boss called me up and said, "Hey, can you be on a plane tomorrow?" Yes, sir. And I was down there running the log hub. We had all kinds of people down there because the Navy could get there faster than anybody else. To take the skills that we use to support the warfighter and use them for a humanitarian effort, such as the one in Haiti, was so rewarding for everyone involved. So that's probably one of my favorite moments of my career is, that I had this group of people that were out there doing good, making a difference, using the skills that they'd learned for something else, and they were there for the right reason. I will have to send you a picture. On my wall behind me is a picture of myself on the USS Baton during that time, with a little Haitian boy in the medical ward. It is my favorite picture of my entire career, because the medical people on board were treating him for a broken leg and a head wound, and his interpreter and I spent some time talking to him. It's that kind of, we don't want to fight wars. We will if we have to, and when it's the right thing to do. But the other part of it is pretty heartwarming.
Absolutely. And I definitely think doing what you love is probably the best advice you can do, and to do what you do with pride, and to make sure that you are doing what you're doing with 100% effort and making sure that you are trying to make an impact. So I definitely think everything that you've done is just so impactful, and your story is just so inspiring to not only me, but about women everywhere. And for you to be the speaker for the Women History Month, I think it's just an amazing choice. And I just want to thank you for your service, and just want to thank you for sharing your story with us.
Oh, well, thank you for inviting me. It's been fun. I've enjoyed meeting all three of you, and particularly you, Captain Williams. I look forward to hearing what you do in the future and where your passions send you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Rear Admiral, thank you so much. For everyone who's viewing, Rear Admiral Wolfe is also a member of our Wall of Fame as a graduate of Mount Olive High School, and the incredible service to our country. And we thank you again for that, and all of the incredible achievements, accomplishments that you've been able to accumulate as a member of the United States Navy. So we couldn't be more proud that you're from Mount Olive, and then also to the service for our country. So thank you so much again for joining.
Mount Olive, Bud Lake, and Mount Olive, Bud Lakes, and Flanders will always be home.
That's it. And we invite you, please, when you're back in the area again, we'd love for you to come and visit us and maybe speak live to the students someday when we're in the safe
Someday.
zone, and really see how
If
Mount
when we
Olive
can do
has-
that again.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. We could do it again.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you so
you
much.
very much.
So I'm going to
You all
stop
have a great day.
too.